Hey guys, welcome back. Tisha here to discuss the mess that is this show, Thousand Pound Sisters. I'm telling you guys now, some of you all, those of you who are Team Tammy, are going to be upset with me because I'm tired of Tammy. It's one thing for you to go off on somebody because you don't like the crude remarks that they're making, because you don't like how Amy passed gas and burped and did all of that. I get it, right? Maybe I didn't agree with how you handled it, but I get it. But it is another thing for her to treat Amanda the way that she continues to treat Amanda, for her to talk to Amanda the way that she talks to Amanda, knowing that Tammy herself has ran into certain situations. So you calling her a slut at the end of this video when she was just trying to make things right with you, like you weren't dealing with the married man, whether you knew it or not, isn't right. There's all types of stuff on TikTok about Tammy. We know more about these people from TikTok and Instagram and YouTube than we do from the show, because it came out that one of the reasons why Jerry and Tammy broke up, allegedly, is because Jerry was married. With that being said, whether she knew it or not is not my problem. My problem is knowing your history, knowing the things that you've been through, knowing how at one point we saw you wilding out and doing things. Why would you sit here and talk to your sister the way that you do? And why is it every time that you get into an argument with Amanda that you call her a name as you're walking off? It's not right. And I'll be honest, if I was Amanda and you were my sister, I'd probably make it so that you trip. I would never do that to my sister, but my sister would never do what we see on this show. So let's begin, now that I'm kind of over my rant. We begin the episode with Amy trying to enjoy what's left of the night. She's walking down the street. It's snowing a little bit. Tammy is complaining about how disrespectful Amy was. Now, in the last episode, I thought that Amy kept burping, but it turns out that not only did she burp, but she also tooted, right? Gross. You're doing too much. Do what y'all want to do in your house. Tammy is right. You could have calmed it down in mixed company. Now, I do feel like she went overboard with the way that she approached the situation, but Tammy has every right, if she would like for you to stop doing that, to tell you. I just didn't agree with the way she did it. Next thing, Tammy just finished fussing about how Amy was behaving. Amy is out of the limo. Amy is in the restaurant, and Tammy is still cussing and fussing, carrying on in the limo. My guess is she's talking to production. But how is your vulgarity any different from hers? Yours is words, hers is actions. Both of them are wrong. So don't sit there and come down on the way she's acting when she's out of the limo and you cussing and fussing, and the limo driver, who was smiling at various points and laughing at Amy, is now making faces and looking like he feels uncomfortable. You're fussing, talking about how is this supposed to be an effing girls' day and all this other stuff. She's gone. Why are you still carrying on? So she feels like she's making inappropriate jokes and that Amy is getting younger while she's growing up. Amy's not getting younger. Amy is being the same person that she's always been. Should there be a shift there? Yes. But Tammy, you need to make some adjustments as well, because Tammy, you need to grow up with the way that you handle various situations, because there was a different way to handle this. So Tammy ends up leaving with the limo, and we don't know how Amy gets home. It's the next day. Amy and Chris are on their way to go to a genealogist. We find out that Tammy was supposed to come, but because Amy and Tammy got into it, she didn't come. Amy fills Chris on the situation, and she says, I feel like, she's being mean for no reason. And Chris claims that he's tired of all the bickering and he just wants them to stop. Chris, stop playing the middle and hold people accountable. Does he not see, and I'm not saying Amy didn't do certain things wrong or Amanda didn't do certain things wrong. But does he not see that Tammy is very much so the common denominator in both situations? So don't you think that the same way you keep trying to talk to them about things, that maybe you should address Tammy and ask Tammy, like, Tammy, do you think there was a different way you could have handled the situation or something along those lines? No, you go to everybody about everybody and don't offer any type of resolve. So they head out to see the genealogist. To me, this is a made up storyline about them being connected to the queen. Do we really believe that they're connected to the queen? They find out of all the search that this lady did, that they can join, or I guess Tammy and Amy, the ladies could join, because I don't know how it works. Correct me if you know. They can join the Daughters of the American Revolution because they are linked to a soldier. There's a lot of soldiers that are linked to them. They're shown their family crest, and now they want to look into the British archives to see if they're related to the Queen. So it's suggested that they go to London and look in churches and things of that nature. So they want to take a trip to England. We're taking a trip to England to find this out. Yeah, right. The cash trip was just going to be in England. Amy agrees because we know that last time she didn't fly. She had Amanda's son drive her all the way there. This time, Amy says she's going to fly. I feel like this is a wasted segment. I really don't care about this, especially because they kept on talking about it. So Chris tells a story about, one of their family members being 1,300 pounds and another one being 900 pounds and another one being married to his first cousin. And he's looking at the different pictures and he's like, our family has always been large. Done. Next thing, the family is at the park. All the siblings have been invited to the park with some of their children to hang out a little bit before Amanda leaves, because she's leaving in a few weeks for Florida. We're told by Misty that Amanda probably wants to work things out with Tammy, but Tammy probably doesn't want to work things out of Amanda because she holds grudges. Misty is telling us that the girl holds grudges, but we're going to act like Amanda's the problem when we're hearing that Tammy holds grudges. No, Tammy is part of the problem. And if she holds grudges and if she doesn't want to have anything to do with Amanda, then why is she there? I'll tell you why she's there. Chris tells us later on, she's there for the food. So Tammy, who sat up there and called her sister a whore a couple episodes ago, saying that she spreads her legs amongst other things, is still holding grudges against Amanda, that the worst thing that she said is, if you feel that way about me, then get out my house. Was Amanda right in that whole house situation? No. Should she tell her boys to stop coming over there? Yeah. Should she have fixed whatever needed to be fixed? Yeah. But something tells me Tammy wasn't paying for that house. I do not think that Tammy was putting anything into that house other than her decor. I think that Tammy's a squatter. Y'all let me know what you think down below. Because I don't with seeing how much Amanda has looked out for her siblings in other areas, I don't have Amanda just allowing her to stay in this place and pay her money and not taking care of things. I just don't see it. But maybe I'm being a little biased because Tammy really got on my nerves this episode. So Chris comes and he says, I got baked chicken, I got barbecue ribs, and I got broccoli casserole that's carb free. If you say so, Chris, did you tell us that the barbecue ribs were carb free? Because looking at the spread and the portions, it doesn't really seem like a lot of them are eating healthy. Even last episode, Amy had a soda can in her thing, but y'all are supposed to be losing weight. Okay. So Chris says, I got Tammy to come because Tammy smelled that barbecue and them ribs in the house. And I told her that I was making ribs, so I knew she was going to come. Amy wasn't able to come because the kids are sick. Amanda hopes that Tammy isn't the reason why Amy didn't come. Tammy eats a little bit of food, says, I'm going to put this to the side and I'm going to get on the swing. So Chris tells us, how he's happy to see Tammy just getting on the swing. And then he swings too while telling everybody, that they found out that, they can't rule out that they're connected to the royal family. So because the lady couldn't rule out anything, him and Amy are thinking that they should go to the UK to see more about their descendants. So they want to go to London, and Chris hopes that this will bring all of them together. It's going to bring them together for what, a couple of minutes? Because they don't ever deal with anything. So everyone is down. Tammy feels like it's a dream come true because she personally could never see herself being able to do things like this. I'm happy for Tammy. I want Tammy to keep reaching milestones and to keep accomplishing things. But Tammy pissed me off this episode. So she said that she's accomplished things. This has been one of her dreams, and she's not about to let Amanda mess it up for her. She just feels like Amanda needs to keep her effing mouth shut, and she will too. This is what Tammy is saying in the confessionals. Tammy got a whole bunch of mouth for somebody who can't run. I'm not trying to be mean, but Tammy really says a lot of things out the side of her neck that if Amanda or somebody else wanted to get to her, they very easily could. She's very, very disrespectful. I don't get the attitude that she has with Amanda right now because she's the one who decided to move out. Amanda said that she could go, but she didn't really have to go, but she wasn't trying to hear all of that. So to me, it's not warranted. Missy just wants to have her own room if they go somewhere. Amanda is not trying to get stuck in the house with these people. We then get flashbacks of Tammy going off on one trip and Amy going off on another trip. So she wants to know what the accommodations are looking like. She doesn't really get an answer to it because Chris says he won't know until he figures out how many people are going. The production team knows. Axe production. So Chris, Tammy, and Brittany leave that situation and they go to Amy's. Chris talks about how this is, really family because someone's always bickering and arguing. I'm not going to sit here and act like I always get along great and like my family and I never have any arguments. But at our big ages, and with me being the oldest, I very rarely get into arguments with my siblings. We may disagree about something. We may have a different opinion about something, but we never allow it to get to the point where these people seem to go. I have not cut off a sibling or said, I'm not talking to you just because we have a difference of opinion. Why? Because at the end of the day, we always respect each other. These people lack that. They don't respect each other and they draw no lines on taking it too far. They act like they're arguing with people in the street, and we weren't raised that way. So Tammy has no desire, she says, to speak to Amy, but you walking up in her house. She tells us the only reason why she's there is because Chris is her ride home. So all three of them walk in this girl's house. Now, Tammy doesn't even speak to her sister. I see Brittany mouth something. There's a voiceover, so I can't tell if Chris says anything, but I do see Amy talking when Chris walks in. And not when Chris walks in, when Brittany walks in. And I clearly see neither Amy nor Tammy talking when Tammy walks in. It's clear to me that Tammy isn't saying anything. But they're sitting next to each other on the couch. Weird. So Amy doesn't want to deal with any negativity from Tammy on the trip. They're not even looking at each other, but they're sitting next to each other. And Chris tells, Amy that everyone is down for the trip. What are you all going to do? What you want to do? Because y'all had that argument. Amy says, I already spoke my piece about Tammy talking about, inappropriately to me. And Tammy says the way you were acting was inappropriate. Also, don't put it all on me. I said stuff that was out of line, but it was true. Amy's like, but you called me stupid and some other stuff. It's like watching two kids go back and forth over what was said. Chris says nobody will admit that they're wrong. They're saying that And then the next thing you know, she's like, whether I'm arguing with her or not, I'm going on this trip. Then all of a sudden, like, was it the editing or was it these people? Did they go from that to saying, like, hey, you want to go get passports together? And then Amy's like, yes. What? Am I missing something here? Nothing is resolved. Nothing is ever resolved. There's never any accountability. Talk about how you can handle the situation next time. Talk about how you would prefer to act in public so that you're not embarrassed or things of that nature. But then I said, you know what? Tammy, let this go real quickly when it comes to Amy, because Amy is a pushover that Amanda is not. Amy doesn't like the confrontation. Most times when Amy gets into it, it's because she blew up. It's because it's been piled on so much and then she explodes. Whereas with Amanda, if Tammy gives her any type of attitude, Amanda's going to give her back attitude. So they're talking about what they want to see, where they're going to go, what they're going to eat. And Amy talks about a whole bunch of things that she can't even pronounce. Next. We're at Chris's house. Chris is currently running errands for Tammy, and Brittany is annoyed. Brittany is annoyed because she barely gets to see her husband, and because Tammy has went from only supposed to be being there for 3 weeks to it's now 3 months. And people don't see why I feel like they cater too much to Tammy. Why is Tammy still in this house all this time if it was already a tight space? Why didn't Tammy stay with Amy? Why didn't Tammy get her own place? She doesn't have to be in a house. They could have found her an apartment or some other situation. But Tammy always gets what Tammy wants. It's just how they do. Do you feel like if you aren't nice to Tammy, you can't be on the show? Like, what's the deal? Seriously, what's the deal? Misty comes over. She says that she sees how stressed Chris is and how much he's doing with the house and work and the extra errands that he's doing for Tammy. And she just sees that it's wearing him out. So he claims that he's going to be done and the house can be ready to move in 2 weeks. Brittany just wants her man. Even with that house was supposed to be an Airbnb house. And now it's went from that to or rental. And now Tammy's going to be staying in there. I hope Chris charges her. So he says, we got to go see Dr. Turner in less than 2 weeks. I really hope that I lost the 30 pounds. Chris knows whether or not he lost the 30 pounds already. They got a scale. Chris wants to enter the family to do a charity 5K. He feels like it will be really, really good for them to continue their fitness goal. Tammy says that she'll try, even though she's not sure if she'll be able to finish. Chris brings up their vacation again and how he hopes that everyone gets along. And Tammy says, if Amanda comes at me, then I don't know. Chris feels like Tammy and Amanda miss each other, but the both of them are too stubborn to say it. Everyone, to me, is just on my nerves. I don't think that the both of them are too stubborn to say it. I think that as much as they like to put stuff on Amanda, I think that Tammy is the most stubborn out of all of them. Amanda is just more mobily stubborn. And that's that. I think that Amanda for a long time has been the matriarch of the family. I think for a long time, Amanda has been the one that everybody goes to. And I think it's time for Amanda to be selfish and go away. And I don't think she's really being selfish by going away. I think it's time for her to put herself first because these people take her for granted. And I still haven't forgotten how nasty they were last week when they sat around talking junk about Amanda. So we see Tammy and Amy go to take passport photos at the studio. I just don't understand why they couldn't do this at CVS or Walgreens. My guess is maybe, I don't know, they don't have one, or maybe because they wanted to create this scene with this guy. So we're spending all this time focusing on this trip to London, when to me, the people need to be focused on, I don't know, finishing up houses and cleaning houses. There's plenty to do. Where are they? Kentucky? There's plenty to do where you're at. So Amy starts with the fart and stuff again. I hate that word, but that's what she calls it. She tells the photographer that she wants to toot on the Royal Guard. Go ahead and do that and see what happens. I don't think the Royal Guard is trying to play with you. And if you go to the UK with that mess, you're in for a rude awakening. They don't got time for that. I really wonder if Amy thinks that these jokes are funny. She laughs at them, but I don't see the people while she's doing it very much laughing with her. I think they're laughing at her. And it's like, girl, You and your sister just got into this about your mouth, and here you are in public being a nuisance again. Do you want another argument, or do you want to chill out a little bit? So the photographer, we find out, used to work for a rescue squad. He says that he's treated Tammy a few times. He's worked with her multiple times, and it's good to see where she is now. Tammy reminisces about how much she hated life before and she hated herself before. And she says it's cool that he can see her in a better place now. It is. And I'm rooting for Tammy. As long as Tammy is like this, I can deal with her. It's when we get the other side of her that bothers me. As long as Tammy is enjoying herself, she's enjoyable. But the moment when something doesn't go her way, or when someone doesn't say something she wants them to say, or if she's called out on anything, that is when we get the true core of Tammy. You get to know who people are sometimes when they're upset, right? It's like me. I know me. I know sometimes I got a hot button. That's why sometimes I avoid certain situations. Now I've come a long way. I've come a long way. But because I know how I am, I don't like to argue back and forth with people. I'm not going to do it because you say the wrong thing to me. You call me a slut or something like that, like what was going on with Tammy and her sister. The outcome is not going to be the same. I don't have a problem cutting people off. And I hope that Amanda takes some time away from Tammy after what she did. Let's get into it. So the siblings meet up at the cousin's pond. She has a farm and a huge pond area. I don't know if it's her pond or the community pond, but there's a pond with a bunch of houses around it. And they're going to train for the 5K. So Chris, it says, everybody go ahead and walk your own way at your own pace, right? Chris immediately starts jogging. Tammy, Amanda, and Amy are near one another. And Tammy stops because she sees rocks. Now, Tammy could have went the other way, just kept walking back and forth the way she could, but she stops because she sees rocks. So Amanda offers to help. Amanda's like, I can help you just walk across this little part right there, because there was like it would look like, how if you go up a ramp, that type of material, it was over this area to cover up the rock where she could walk that. And Amanda was offering to stretch her hand out while she did it. So she's like, I'll help you. Tammy, in confessional, snarkily tells us she don't need her help. I don't mean any harm, but I'd let Tammy fall. Because Amanda, who tore her meniscus, Amanda, who is currently still not walking at her fullest potential, Amanda, who currently is walking over rocks with a knee brace on, is willing to help her selfish butt, and she's being snippy and talking junk about it in the confessional. Tammy is not a nice person. She's not. Because this is what you're doing to your sister. It's not that deep. After running, Chris comes, he passes Tammy, and he does the very thing that Amanda offered to help do. So he tells Tammy, like, look, because she does it, she gets over it. See, told you could do it. He says, all I want you to do, start off, is by doing one lap around this pond. If you do one lap, that's a quarter of a mile. Just try to do one. She does one. And then she sits down and she says, that's the most that, she's ever walked. Chris says that's the most she's ever walked without having to sit down. Amanda points out how Misty and Brittany are catching up as they're walking. And then Amy, because she's walking with Amy, starts fussing and cussing because it's not a competition. And if it's a competition, then she'll quit. Everything is an issue. It's like walking on pins and needles with these people. She was just talking about how quickly they were walking. So the ladies sit down and we hear some of them did 6 laps, some of them 5, some of them 3. Tammy says, not going to tell you how many I did. They find out from Chris that they have to do 15 times around this thing for it to be the equivalency of a 5K. So Chris is jogging and doing some more stuff as the rest of them sit down. Everybody leaves because some of the rest of them say they're going to do some more laps. And I can't remember if Amy said she was going to walk some more, get some more water or something, but Amy left too. So it's just Tammy and Amanda. So Amanda says she's decided that she's going to be the bigger person because, sometimes it requires that. So she tells Tammy, we don't have to rehash everything. We both know what we did. I don't think our relationship is too far gone that we can't fix it. I wasn't in a good place, and neither were you. As she's saying all of this, Tammy is saying nothing. Tammy's head is turned. She's not responding, and she's not looking at Amanda. Amanda says, I miss us getting together and stuff like that and having fun like we used to. Still nothing. She says, we might be angry, or I might be angry, but our heart still cares. Still nothing. She says, I love you, Tammy, and I'm proud of you. I've always said that. Still nothing. She's not saying anything. And she is just sitting there like this with her head, like she doesn't even give the girl eye contact. Amanda says that a lot of times what Tammy will do is she will shut down. You can't keep using that as an excuse, because at this point, Amanda isn't being abrasive with her. She's not being aggressive. She's talking to to Tammy in a calm tone. And just because someone isn't talking about something that you want to talk about doesn't always mean that you get to not talk about it. At some point, you need to go to therapy, Tammy, and work on talking about tough things, because these are some of the things that led you to going to food in the past, not wanting to deal with stuff. So she says, how would you like for our relationship to continue at this point, Tammy? And Tammy says, right now, I don't. Amanda says, you don't? She shakes her head no and makes a face like, like, nah, B, I don't want to continue a relationship with you. Amanda says, I'm not going to beg you to respect me or to be in my life, because I deserve better than that. And I said, yes, you do. And don't say anything else. Leave it at that, Amanda. Leave it at that. But Amanda didn't leave it at that. Amanda said, I protected your name when you were not even around to hear it. There's something to that. And I don't know if it's the Jerry thing or the other things that have been said, but there's something to that. Because Tammy says, her whole expression changes. She goes from not really looking at her to now she's looking at her, and she tilts her head to the side and she says, what the F? She says to us, she protected me from what? She says she always starts it. She says, why the F are you bringing this up? She tells her to drop it. She says, drop it or I'm walking away. She says, I'm not walking away and I'm not dropping it. So Tammy says, well, then I'm walking away. And she gets up and she calls her a slut as she walks off. Let me be clear. Tammy is not innocent. Tammy isn't 100% right. I said it before and I'll say it again. The entire family needs to go to counseling. And I really want to know why, given some of the things that Tammy has been through and some of the crappy men that she's dealt with, why she feels like it's okay to continue to belittle her sister just because Amanda may be doing whatever it is that she thinks Amanda is doing. And even if Amanda was being a little slut bucket, that's Amanda's business. You keep calling her that and saying that and then walking off shows that you're a coward. Because if you really feel that way, stand there and say it and don't move. No, Tammy keeps walking off, in my opinion, because Tammy doesn't want the truth about her to come out. And I still think that Amanda is protecting her. But I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, I'm fine. You all guys, this is my mind gets to going faster than my mouth. You guys, let me know what you think down below. What do we think about this situation? Am I being too hard on Tammy? If you think I'm being too hard on Tammy, that's fine. Just let me know. But put it down below. Like the video as it helps me get into the algorithm. Thank you so much for your time. If there's something that you wanted to discuss that I left out, you know what to do. Feel free to put it down below. Until next time, fam.